Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this interim council meeting. Welcome to those on Zoom as well. We'll start with apologies for absence. Have we had apologies?
I've received apologies from Councillors Schaefer, White and Ossie-Bogan.
Thank you.
And Lisa.
And Councillor Councillor O'Donoghue.
And Councillor Collins.
Councillor Collins. Are we happy to receive those apologies?
Yes.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest? Right. Councillor Stutchbury.
We should note that technically the members of the council aren't giving their apologies, but they're attending on the screen.
Yes, indeed. Because of COVID, we've got a number of councillors who can express their opinions on Zoom, but only the councillors in the chamber may vote. Councillor Harvey.
Obviously I'm here remotely, but do our names appear as present on the minutes of the meeting?
The way we're doing it at the moment is we're putting you as present brackets via Zoom.
Okay.
So
fine.
If there's any other argument about the legal status, then at least we know what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
The good thing is we're quorum because there are 7 of us here present. So that's encouraging. 7 councillors. Because of COVID, I'm going to propose that we postpone items 3, 4 and 6 and only discuss item 5 here this evening. Can councillors indicate whether they're content with that? Councillor Stutchbury.
Yeah, I'll be content with it as long as the motion goes to the next council meeting, even if we are in the same conditions we are now, which could quite easily be the case, that we are still within COVID. And I think that would be my agreement.
Sorry, can councillors take off their masks when they're speaking so people can hear them?
I'm happy to agree, Madam Mayor, on the basis that the motion goes to the next appropriate agenda, noting that we could quite easily be under the same circumstances we are now and we cannot delay democracy, so it should be discussed at that meeting.
Thank you. Can those in favour, or is there a seconder for that?
I second.
You seconded it. Okay. Can those in favour please show?
That's unanimous.
Thank you. So we'll move to item 5, which couldn't be postponed because of the tight deadline. Sorry, Councillor.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Previously, when we've had councillors joining us in the chamber via Zoom, we've suspended standing orders in order that they can speak. Is that something we need to do this evening?
We will. Are people in agreement that we do that when anybody on Zoom wants to speak? We'll automatically suspend standing orders. Thank you. I hope you can hear all right on those on Zoom. Yep, good. So item 5, West Northamptonshire Strategic Plan consultation. We've all seen the correspondence from Deanshanger Parish Council and we need to agree a response. I think we need, if we do nothing else, we need to thank Deanshanger Parish Council for drawing this to our attention. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this has resulted from Northamptonshire and West Northamptonshire, the 2 shire councils within Northampton, calling for sites. They've got to provide in West Northamptonshire, which is the area that covers Daventry, Northampton and Towcester, they've got to provide up to 6,000 homes. On this point of the map that you've probably all seen, where the A5 is crossed by our road, the A422, which then goes on to Northampton, the A508. The proposal is a 6,000 home development on a greenfield site just to the north of the A422 and the A508, which almost subsumes Deanshanger. Deanshanger is a population of 3,800. These would be 6,000 houses. Deanshanger is 6 miles from us. Old Stratford Roundabout is 8 miles from us. That's how close it is. It's just the other side of the county boundary, but directly impacts us. And the biggest way, of course, it impacts us is the A422 is one of our two primary routes to get to employment in Milton Keynes and Northampton. This consultation is in response to the Oxford-Cambridge ARC, which we have already discussed at some time. And West Northamptonshire is going to have to provide 64,000 houses between now and 2050. That's 2,000 houses per annum. The option we're looking at is MK North, Old Stratford, these 6,000 dwellings. Our big problem is that we've now lost the East-West Expressway. So we're going to be even more reliant on the A421 and the A422. And of course, the A421, the proposal eventually will be for dualling that. And once that work starts, of course, the A422 is going to become the rat run into Milton Keynes. Our problem then, as I'm saying, is that we are going to face massive traffic problems, that increased problems, because it's bad already. Those of you who use that A422 will know in the rush hour that trying to get to the Old Stratford roundabout is a nightmare, and coming back in the evening, particularly up the A5 from Milton Keynes to the Old Stratford roundabout, the traffic sometimes queued back for 2 or 3 miles. That's how bad it is now. Imagine another 6,000 houses at the top of that A5 road at the Old Stratford roundabout. The other thing, of course, is they've spent 2 years rebuilding that roundabout to try and cope with the traffic we have now. What happens then? So I'm very much indebted to Teresa Floyd, who's been a good friend to us. She's the clerk to Deanshanger Parish Council. We've had dealings with her before, and thank you to her for drawing our attention to this. They are looking for support in their opposition to this, and they have actually formed the A5 Parish Alliance, which is going to obviously take part in the consultation, but at the moment they are strongly opposed to it, as it will just completely block that part of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire and North Milton Keynes. So I don't know if I'm allowed to propose tonight. I guess not, because I'm not live on the floor, but I would ask my colleagues who are at the meeting to propose and second that we join Deanshanger Parish Council and the A5 Parish Alliance in opposing the siting of this development because of the problems it's going to bring to us in Buckingham.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cole. Councillor Cole has suggested that we follow that proposal, but we'll hear other views first because we haven't got a formal proposal within the room. Councillor Stutchbury.
The document in itself, Madam Mayor, raises more questions than you can imagine. The fact that they're quoting 64,000 houses for Northamptonshire, we really have to be quite careful, because 64,000 houses in Northamptonshire really lends the suggestion that Buckinghamshire would be asked to take a similar amount across the arc, and Milton Keynes would be asked to take a similar amount. So we have to really be very thoughtful about how we approach this, because what we could do is helpfully object to this, and then find out that through objecting to this, we'd actually, because Buckinghamshire Council hasn't given any figures of what they expect us to be taking in the arc, but Buckinghamshire hasn't, but Northamptonshire seem to know that they're going to take 64,000 houses, and we haven't been told. As a member, I haven't been told what the final figure is, alluding to what the figure would be in a Buckinghamshire plan, which is nowhere near that. So I think we have to tread very carefully. I think we can be sympathetic to their concerns on the grounds that we're concerned about the transport, we're concerned about the conjunction of the highway, and the fact that it's our main route to Milton Keynes. But if we need to, the consultation is very early. We haven't had a consultation of equivalent weight from Buckinghamshire Council asking us what our opinion is. So it appears that either this is very premature, or Buckinghamshire Council are very late in advising us of what their position is. One of them has got to be correct. So we must tread very carefully. I absolutely sympathise with their concerns. I totally understand their need seeking our support. We must word it that if we are against it on the grounds of the traffic and the infrastructure issues, we must tread very carefully with the houses, because we could find that if we don't, Northamptonshire don't take that, we could find that it comes to Buckinghamshire. We've already got houses in the Vale Plan going down in Longville, which is only a gnat's breadth over the hill. And we've also got houses which are possibly sited between the Milton Keynes and Oxfordshire. So we are in the middle of that. So we have to be really careful how we word it. So I don't know that I'd go as far as blindly giving them our total support at this point. I think we should give them support around the infrastructure stretches and steer clear at this point about the houses, because it could be that if we get houses sent to us, unspent need, because in a development plan, there will be between Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes, there's a trade-off between who gets what in development. You remember, we may not know, that the reason the Vale Plan kept failing is because it didn't meet its unset need from outer areas. So I'm really surprised that there hasn't been a conversation with Buckinghamshire Council at this stage. And if there has, I'm really saddened that as a member I haven't been informed. So I think that as far as I would go is to support them on the problems around the transport study and not the houses, because we might be voting for properties to come to us if we do that, and we must be very careful.
Thank you, Councillor Stutchbury. Councillor Mardew.
This is only a consultation. It haven't been any firm plans, to my knowledge, about dictating the number of houses we will have in Buckinghamshire. Elsewhere's had more than 6,000 houses, and we've never been involved in any consultation or comments down there. So I think we should stick to any implications on highways, not on the planning, until we get some firm details. It's West Northamptonshire's clearly gone out for consultation. If there's anything further than that, when we could possibly comment. I don't think we're in a position to comment at the moment.
When I clicked, the click didn't seem to work on the link to the West Northamptonshire Plan in Consult, but I got it online, and this was the only one that hasn't closed yet, the consultation. There were a whole range there were about 6 or 7 different consultations under this, and this was the last remaining one, which hasn't reached its deadline yet. I think we've got a couple of issues. We've been asked, we can clearly respond as Buckingham Town Council, and that's a separate issue as to whether we join the A5 Parish Alliance. In the letter that they sent to us from Deanshanger, it said, if you would like more information on the A5 Parish Alliance, please let me know. Because at the moment, unless Councillor Cole knows more about it, we don't really know much about it and what we would be committing to. So I would suggest we defer any decision on joining that alliance and seek more information at this point, and that also we make this response by December the 24th, if we can agree a response this evening, entirely separately from whether we join that alliance. Are people happy with that approach? Councillor Ralph.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you know, I represent the Town Council and the MBPPC, and I was going to ask anyway this evening whether I could draw their attention to this, because as Councillor Stutchbury rightly says, we don't really know what Buckinghamshire Council's approach to this will be, and some of the dangers highlighted. But if we again join in with MBPPC, many of them are obviously in Buckinghamshire, and this can be all part of our wanting to be more involved with them in terms of how we go forward with the East-West Arc anyway. So I was going to ask if it's acceptable to the meeting that I approach the Secretary with this information, and tell him whatever our initial response is.
Certainly that seems a sensible approach, but obviously we've got this looming deadline of
Yes.
Thursday.
Yes, I appreciate that.
No, Friday, sorry.
Sorry, if I can clarify, instead of joining any other groupings
Oh, I
or
see.
that sort of thing,
Right.
we, in the first instance, go to the MBPPC, and then maybe it's always open for us to join after the closing date.
Yeah. Councillor Davies.
I was just going to, sorry, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to say, I don't joining one precludes joining the other. And I think involvement in all the interested groups would be beneficial to us as council.
Thank you. Councillor Stutchbury.
I have no problem being involved in them, but presently, the decision of Buckinghamshire Council, rightly or wrongly, has been to step outside of the ARC group, which was taken, I understand, because historically there was 5 people sitting around the table representing Buckinghamshire, and now there's only 1. Now, I think the leader of the council's logic behind that was that Buckinghamshire could be bounced into accepting by a majority vote development in Buckinghamshire, which it may not wish to accept. So I think, while wishing to be involved and commenting on the transport side for now, I seek that we seek clarity on Buckinghamshire Council's position around this consultation and whether they have any strong views on its veracity and its impact on the environments, being North Buckinghamshire, stroke, whatever, because I think they will have a view on it, and they cite that they're consulting about the ARC. Now, we aren't in the ARC group, as I just said, so it seems like that story has marched on considerably since Buckinghamshire Council were outside the ARC. So I think we're going to be part of the Buckinghamshire Plan for good or for ill. So we need to be sure that anything we do, at least until we decide not to, is in line with those aspirations. I think. So I'm happy to go along with our comments around the transport plan and steer clear of the comments around the housing numbers at this point. I do agree with Councillor Brown Davis that we should be part of this consultation because we may get information which is invaluable for us to make a better decision at a later date.
Thank you. Councillor Davies, did you want to say?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to say what Councillor Stutchbury said at the end, that I feel that we need to be as involved as possible without actually necessarily taking any sort of stance on it. We need to be gathering information more than anything else at this stage.
Thank you. Councillor Morton.
We could say something along the lines that we are concerned about the increased traffic flow, which would be generated between Milton Keynes and Oxford, which would obviously pass through Buckingham, and to keep us aware of any further developments.
Yeah.
So you're basically seconding it.
Yeah.
Seconding what though,
Why?
Councillor Stutchbury?
Try again. That we comment on our concerns about the transport, very much along the lines of what everyone said in here, including Councillor Mordew, and we steer clear of commenting on the housing numbers. And secondly, we go and seek some assurances from the council, Buckinghamshire Council, around their view around this proposals. And we also take Councillor Fran Davis' suggestion that we join these organisations because we need to know what's going on. And I don't think in that way we're not being dismissive, we're being supportive, but we can't turn this housing development away and then find that it all rocks up at Buckingham, can we?
Thank you. Can I suggest that we separate those two things out though? That I think that the membership of the A5 Parish Alliance is separate from the issue about our response to the consultation. Just being clear what we're proposing, and I think Councillor Mordew was seconding, is that we're responding in relation to the concern about increased traffic flows that would stem from this development. And then we keep our powder dry in terms of the housing, which will follow at a later, probably at a much later stage. Does that sum up?
Yeah, I think for clarity, listening to you, Madam Mayor, we do it in three options. The first thing being the traffic. The second thing is consulting Buckinghamshire Council about this. And the third thing is what Councillor Fran Davis said, which is being involved to find information. But they're three separate things, and we should agree them separately.
And also the Councillor Ralph's about
Yeah,
the
the
North Buckinghamshire planning.
Yeah, agree them all separately.
That's 4 then, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is everybody on Zoom? Did you hear what was being suggested and comfortable with that? Okay, thank you. So are all of, Councillor Mordew, were you seconding all of those aspects of, or
Well,
just?
I wasn't necessarily seconding, but I don't disagree with them.
Okay, Councillor Davies.
I'll second you.
Okay, thank you. So if we take the first one about responding to this consultation before Friday, that will be in the town clerk's hands to draft what we've been discussing here this evening. But basically our concerns about traffic, with traffic flow and the impact that will have on traffic within our area.
Yes.
Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. And the second aspect is the checking with Buckinghamshire Council as to what they are doing in relation to this wider consultation. That would be the town clerk seeking that information from Buckinghamshire Council and whether they're aware of these proposals in West Northamptonshire.
Can I just say they're not proposals, it's purely a consultation.
Consultation, yeah, thank you. Those in favour of that, please show. Thank you. And then the third aspect is about the parish alliance. We seek more information about that, which is what was suggested by Dean Sanger, because we can't commit to joining an organisation where we don't have full details. Those in favour of that? Thank you. That's unanimous as well. And then for Councillor Ralph to take these issues to the North Buckinghamshire, tell me, is that
the NBPPC, yes.
North Buckinghamshire Planning
Parish
Planning Consortium.
Parish Planning.
When you become the representative, you're issued with a new set of teeth to get that passed.
Thank you. So those in favour of that, please show. Thank you. Are there any residual issues we need to discuss in relation to this? Councillor Stutchbury.
Can I suggest for you, Madam Mayor, that we bring all this back to a future meeting and the findings and discuss it again to allow the members who aren't been able to vote carry forth in this to bring them into those discussions, because the really important decisions are going to be further down the line and to work through you and the chair of planning to which meeting that comes to. I think it should really come to council.
Yeah.
But for you and the town clerk and the chair of planning to work that out.
Thank you. Is there anything else anybody wanted to say on this issue? In which case, there's chair's announcements. There aren't any other. To thank councillors who are present as well as councillors who are present virtually for your time tonight, and the staff involved as well. You're obviously still working in very difficult circumstances. And the dates of the next meeting, they're not quite correct on there. There's full council precept on January the 17th, but the next full council is February the 7th. Councillor Willett.
Can I already declare that I will be sending my apologies for the 17th of January, as I will be out of the country.
Oh, right. Thank you. Councillor Stutchbury.
Just a point of information at the Resources Committee, we agreed that there would be members of the historical report would go to members, especially members who have joined the council, to understand the historic history of the way the precepts have been constructed over the years. been an awful lot of things said about the precept. I think it would help members understand the big numbers and the history of it. And I believe the town clerk was hoping to draft that to come out to members before the precept meeting or during the precept meeting and inform the discussion. And I'm sure that's being done.
Thank you. And then the interim council's on March the 7th. So that just leaves me to say happy Christmas, everyone. Thank you for your support since you elected me as mayor. And let's hope that we can all have a happy and peaceful Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks, Nina.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, everyone. Seasonal greetings. Bye for now.
Oh.